Hello, and welcome to episode 68 of the Book Wars Pod. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Kate and Chris, as always. And we are talking about the second novella in Canto Bight today, which I don't remember what it's called. Oh, it's called The Wine and Dreams. I do remember what it's called. But I just called it Wine. Which, is explanatory, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, it's 9:15 p.m. in Denmark, and it's fucking sleeting outside, and it's disgusting.
Woo!
I just walked from the train to home in the sleet, and I was like, why am I here? And then I remembered it's for work, and it's great.
Denmark Kiki.
Denmark Kiki. You guys are in your afternoon.
We are.
Right?
Yes, it is.
I am.
What's it, 4:15?
Yeah, a little after 4.
We're severely bisecting nap time at this current moment.
I napped earlier. It's going to be fine.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'm very
Thank
happy.
God for that. I was really worried.
I'm also happy because I finally got my new computer, so now we don't sound like a trash can.
Hopefully we don't sound like a trash can. I did not bring my whole kind of rig to Denmark, so I'm trying this new little travel mic, so hopefully it's okay. We're all just trying our best.
So we are. Every day.
Just so true. What I'm having some kind of green tea from Lidl, which is like the cheap grocery store here.
Aww.
AKA absolutely 100% the grocery store Kate would go to if she was here.
Oh, fuck yes.
It's called bio-organic green tea, which is
Did somebody
redundant?
poop out this tea?
Oh my God.
Probably.
The tree did.
I'm not worried about it, but it's cheap as shit, and it's pretty good actually.
Hey.
So I'm having a green tea, and I will be going to bed directly after this.
Sounds right. Get yourself all situated with your jet lag and your daylight savings 1 week early over there.
Oh my God, fucking Christ. If anybody knows why Denmark has daylight savings a week early, daylight savings ending a week early, let me know, because now I'm going to be a different amount of time different than everybody, but only for a week. And it's really upsetting.
Also, why do they... I thought we were the only ones who were stupid enough to have daylight savings.
That's what I said. I said I didn't even know we had daylight savings over here, motherfucker. But what do I know?
Daylight savings time is bad, actually.
It is,
I know,
though.
it's terrible. Oh, isn't it on the ballot in California this year?
I think it is.
I heard it is. I'm sure it will not go away in California because everyone hates us, but
well, it doesn't exist. It's not I don't think they have daylight savings in Arizona and maybe Hawaii.
I'm not sure about Hawaii. I feel like they can do whatever they want, but Arizona, I know they don't have it.
Yeah.
What are you guys drinking now that we've been talking about nothing?
We are having a nice Grenache, which was brought to us as a gift by a friend of mine who stayed with us last week.
He's not a friend of the pod. He definitely doesn't listen to the pod.
He does not listen to the pod.
He could still be a friend of the pod and not listen to the pod.
No,
Official house guest of the pod?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, no. Miranda's official house guest of the pod.
That's a fair point.
That's accurate.
Although she's about to be official roommate of the pod soon, so that's very exciting.
Yay!
That'll be fun.
Quinn got the keys today, I think.
Oh, that's exciting.
I don't know which today, but
one of them.
One of the todays, either yours or mine.
Yes, but Miranda's moving out to Portland at the end of November, I believe. So, yay!
Yeah, so hopefully some more cameos from Real Baby Bird.
Mm-hmm.
She's moving in with us. And by us, I mean me and Quinn. So everyone pray for her. And us, for that matter. Just lots of prayers all around.
Prayers up for your livers, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Wait, tell me more about this Grenache.
Yeah, Chris. I didn't actually look at the name on the label.
Hang on, I took a picture of it.
Oh my gosh, Chris, you took a picture. Were you thinking
job.
of the Instagram for once in your life?
Oh my god, look at
Oh
our
my God.
content.
Hashtag content.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
It is called Le Paradou. It is a 2016 Grenache.
And we have no idea where he got it from.
We have no idea where he got it from. It's pretty good. It's pretty tasty, especially since it has a screw on top.
That is
You know-
totally fair.
Chris, I wasn't going to mention that, but then you had to mention it. You
Yeah,
had to
well,
mention it. You had to
I
be
mean,
real awkward about
It's
it.
going to be on the Instagram. We're going to see one way or another.
Oh my God.
He's not being awkward about it. I like it when a screw off top is mentioned because then I'm like, oh my god, I don't need tools to open this other than my hand tools.
Which are your hands?
Yep, that's right.
I don't want the people to think that we're snotty with our wine choices. Like
No,
sometimes
there are good
sometimes
twist
we
offs
need
for fucking
yeah.
sure.
sometimes we need a wine opener, but sometimes we just have
Chris.
twist off.
Chris,
Bookworms Pod. They're just like you.
Chris,
That's
they
right.
know we're not fancy. I just dump Beefeater in my tea all the time.
I know. I feel like Kate should. And I shouldn't say Kate. I feel like one of us should rename the Twitter to just like Book Wars Pod line Eat Kate's ass. I feel like it would just be very on brand, but that's fine. We don't need to do that. By the way, we have like a lot of Twitter followers, so like thanks for Kate for the hustle. I like checked that today, and I was like, holy shit! When did we?
Yeah.
When did people start following us on Twitter?
I don't know. See, this is I trick people by drawing them in by like making our Twitter account mostly normal, and then they like turn on the pod and actually listen. They're like, "Fuck! Who are these people, and why are they weird?"
Yeah, our Twitter account is always like cute pictures that Chris posted to Instagram and like Hamlet and like good content, and then they turn the podcast on and it's just like a fucking garbage fire.
Yeah, but
That's
then they're
what it
trapped
is.
at that point.
I know.
Yeah, they are trapped.
They love it. Speaking of us being a garbage fire,
Yes.
Kate wants to do a corrections corner.
We do because we done fucked up. So
we
a very kind listener wrote in to let us know that while we were discussing aftermath life debt. Sorry, I like my Invisalign trays are really aggressive this week, so I'm super lispy. So while we were discussing that book by Chuck Wendig, we were talking about Elodie the pirate. Who is gender nonconforming and does not use binary pronouns. And during that episode, we, by accident, referred to this character by she, her pronouns a few times. And I think also it sounds like what happened was that we were discussing during the interlude where Elodie appears, there is a ship that the pirate crew boards, and Elodie is trying to, recruit more pirates to her pirate band. And one of the people who decides to join is a young girl. And I think we were not precise about when we were talking about the girl versus Elodie, and so I think things probably got mixed up, and we really should have been a lot clearer about that when we were talking about it. So, mistakes were made. Precision was not great, and we are really sorry about that because it was disrespectful, and we apologize to our listeners. And we sincerely thank the person who wrote in to let us know about this because it was not okay. And we are all like learning, and we are trying to be better people, and we really should have been more mindful, and we weren't, and we're gonna do better in the future because we're not gonna forget about this. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Patriarchy's
Thank you,
bad.
Kate.
Wires your brain
Patriarchy
in
is
bad ways.
bad.
It takes a whole lifetime to rewire it. So keep calling us out, and we'll keep doing better.
Yes, please. Seriously, if we fuck up like this, please seriously let us know because we would like to apologize and do better because, oh God, we did a bad thing.
That said, we recognize that it's not anyone's job.
Yes.
But if you do feel comfortable reaching out to us and letting us know we're fucking dummies, we know that, So please
Yeah.
feel free to call us that.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
honestly, you probably don't even need to explain yourself. We'll probably just agree.
Yep.
yeah. We no, but we're all just trying to do our best, make sure we're being as inclusive and making sure we're treating everybody the way that they should be treated, regardless of all the things. So if you feel comfortable calling us out, call us the fuck out, and we really do appreciate it. But
seriously.
we know that Google exists as well.
Yeah, we know that. Don't worry, we know that Google is free. So, and we will be using that liberally.
Yeah, I think that was in episode 64, 65,
I
66,
believe.
something like that. That's like the last 3 Life Debt chapters, and I wouldn't be surprised if we sprinkled in some pirate talk throughout all 3 of
Yeah.
those episodes.
Very possible.
So,
Yeah, because we love pirates, which is why we should
pirates are bae.
which is why we should treat pirates better when they use non-binary pronouns.
Yes, of course.
Pirates generally,
All pirates.
not Elodie does not
Pirates
use they them.
matter.
Yes, Elodie does not use they them pronouns. I meant pirates generally. Right.
Pirates as the plural of pirate.
Yes.
Yes, correct. So
Perfect.
We're all sorry.
Not
So we're
perfect.
sorry.
We're pieces of shit.
Yep.
Sorry. I meant perfect more as like transitional. So now I'll say, speaking of us being idiots, who wants to talk about the book? This is about wine on
it sure-
Cantobite.
It sure is, which is why Chris and I are being a little thematic with our drinks. So
Yeah.
the
I
wine and
know that's
dreams.
very smart of you.
I wanted bourbon, but Kate said we should have wine.
Yeah, I'm drinking fucking tea, so don't ask me.
Yeah, Keeks, God.
Sorry. I had a bunch of
it's
beer
fine.
while I was out earlier watching fucking soccer,
That's great.
as I
approve
do.
of that. I love it. So The Wine and Dreams is by Mira Grant, which is the pen name of, I don't know how to say her actual name because it's quite Irish.
I don't remember what
it's
it
like
is.
Shauna Maguire.
Yeah.
Shauna, I don't know.
I think that's probably it.
If I'm saying your name wrong, I'm really, really sorry, and I should probably know better because she's actually quite an accomplished writer, and she's written like a million billion things. Probably her most famous series of books, as Mira Grant, are the Feed books, which are about zombies. But
We
this
will
time,
tweet her name.
yes, I've
Both
been
her
tagging.
pen name and her regular name.
I've been doing that. So
Thank you. Kate has been doing it. I've been asleep while Kate has been doing it. Sorry, Kate.
no, it's cool. But the story is a little different from what we're kind of used to reading in terms of the writing style. And so I think I personally wanted to talk about that first anyway because I'm a fucking nerd. If y'all
Please
will
do,
indulge me.
Kate. Yeah, kick us off and do some writing style stuff because this really is a very, very interestingly written novella, and it gives us a lot of stuff that we haven't seen in most of the reading that we've done before on the Bookmores Pod.
So obviously every author has a voice, and we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, especially when we're talking about Chuck Wendig's books, when we were talking about Last Shot by Daniel Jose Older. They have very distinct voices. Certainly Claudia Gray, I would say, has a very distinct kind of writing voice. But this one is a little bit different in that it's a little more, I want to say, literary than, what we're used to getting out of the other Star Wars books that we've read. And by literary, I mean, I'm not saying that other people don't pay attention to how they use language, like on a word in a sentence and a paragraph level as they're writing, because obviously all writers do. But there's something about this that, like, it's deliberate, like it's deliberately expansive. Chris called it flowery, I think is the way he described it to me. It's that sort of thing. And just a quick related aside, I'm one of those people who think that literary fiction, which is probably, if you walk into any bookstore, there's the fiction and literature shelf where all the, contemporary books are usually stocked, some modern classics and things like that. The quote unquote serious books are usually literary fiction, and then you've got the shelf in the back where all the sci-fi fantasy crap is. Literary fiction obviously is like it's a genre. It's its own genre. And it's really frustrating to me when people are talking about literary fiction versus quote unquote genre fiction, by which they mean, sci-fi fantasy, they mean horror, they mean mystery, they mean romance. All these books that aren't taken seriously, or like, they're like junk. People think they're junk food books. They don't think that they're actually like literature, which is obviously false, because honestly some of the most important writing, especially when it comes to diverse voices, is coming out of science fiction and fantasy right now.
Bwah, bwah, bwah.
Bwah, bwah, bwah. Indeed.
That was the saddest air horn noises I've ever heard in my life.
I'm tired. It's Sunday afternoon. I was
That
napping
was like
before.
It's okay. I think that was like more of a matter of fact. That was like a suck Kate stick air horn. Keep going.
Everything about this got weird.
I'm cutting this out.
No, you're not.
No, I'm absolutely not.
Anyway, just saying that literary fiction is just another sort of genre, and honestly, we're seeing a lot of cross-genre work also emerging as we move past postmodernism. I don't really know what the fuck to call what writing is, or literature or books or whatever the hell are doing right now. There's a lot of cross-genre work, and there's a lot of work in this space where literary fiction writing sensibilities are being crossed with sci-fi tropes, like traditional like sci-fi storylines and things like that, which is the space that I personally work in. So I am in love with this stuff. As I just have been talking for like 15 minutes, how did y'all, like, general first impressions, how did you feel about the writing of this, and what did you notice?
Great question. I'm going to plug another one of our things that is tangentially related to this, which is bonus episode 5, which we did with Poppy Ashright, wherein we talk about how people who don't take YA seriously are dumb bitches.
Correct.
But this is not exactly that, but it's also not exactly that.
For sure.
So go listen to that if you'd like to. I think that came out in like February, so it's old, but go do the thing, especially if you haven't listened to it yet and you're like, tell me more about why YA is a real thing and why everyone treats it like it's not a real thing. Mm-hmm. Womp womp.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I know that Mira Grant, Kate mentioned the Feed trilogy. I believe it's called the Feed trilogy. The book one of the trilogy is called Feed. Mm-hmm. That is, I don't know if it's explicitly YA, but it's one of those, I want to say it's one of those series that for whatever reason, it's kind of like in between.
It's not even quite in between. It was kind of marketed towards YA, but it's not a YA book. It's weird.
That's interesting, because I read it and it wasn't recommended to me as a YA book, and it did read like YA, which is not to say that's good or bad. That's just meant as an objective judgment.
Question for you, because I haven't really read the books. I just know about them because, again, like, they're pretty well known.
Right.
But how would you describe the age range of those characters? Like, probably,
they're early 20s.
that would probably then fall under this. It's not a new category, but it newly has a name.
Oh, okay.
But that would be what folks are now calling new adult. So
they're not calling it avocado toast fiction.
Kristen, we took so long getting the mic to work. Do you want us to unplug it?
Listen, I know I'm very many thousands of miles away, even more than I usually am. But this is why the people come here.
Have you had avocado toast in Denmark yet?
Oh I haven't. I think avocados are super expensive here.
Yeah, we got avocado toast in Ireland, and it was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone out to get it. I've mostly been eating rice cakes because I'm just basically acting like I'm back in college again because I can't cook. So
Oh,
I have like eggs and bread and peanut butter and rice cakes, and that's
Respect.
great for me right now.
Respect. Anyway, I swear I had a
Anyway,
point
sorry.
before I got us off track.
Oh, you didn't get us off track.
Oh my!
I believe that was this mois.
But anyway, so it's just interesting to me that, you say this is almost like YA-ish, because I know that Mira Grant does have that, not exactly YA necessarily, but new adult writing under her belt.
Not saying it's YA-ish, but like just saying that,
Yeah.
in terms of categories of books that are not taken seriously.
Sure, yeah.
I did want to explain what new adult is. So, young adult obviously is maybe not so obviously for some people who don't read it, but the characters are generally in their teenage years, whereas for new adult, they're newly in actual fucking adulthood. So you've got like early 20s is probably a good age range to think about when you're thinking about new adult books. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking adulthood, emphasis on the fucking.
Yep. I just really love... This story was fucking weird. Like, it was just a bizarre story in, like, the best possible way. Like, the
Was it
subject
hard
matter
for
was
you?
weird, the writing was weird, it was just great.
It was hard for me to get through.
Oh,
I had
really?
to reread. I mean, not in that way that I didn't think it was interesting. I actually really loved the way it was like written and things like that. But like a lot of Star Wars stuff, I can kind of just like read on the bus or like read while I'm out or like just not be paying 900% attention
Yeah,
to
sure.
like what I'm reading because it's
Yeah.
just basically like here's like a world that is already, I mean, no poo-poo on anyone, but like a lot of like Star Wars books are like easy readers for me because I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. Whereas this, I found
Sure.
myself like, I mean, I'm sure it's a function of a lot of things. I did read this like all since I've been in Denmark and I'm like jet lagged and I'm all fucked up and whatever. But I found myself like having to like reread a lot of it to make sure I'm like, okay, let me make sure that this is the being I think it is. Let me make sure like this stuff like corresponds with each other. Okay, yes, I'm not just making that arbitrary connection in my mind. Like I just had to be like a little bit more deliberate in my reading than I normally would have been.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely asks a little bit more from you, just because I want to say that like other Star Wars books are a little bit more, the writing style is a little bit more straight up. Like you can just read a sentence and the sentence is what it means. Let's keep going.
Well, yeah, and you know that like that's not even always true of me. I get on this podcast and I'm like, can someone tell me what time it is and how old they are? But this especially, I was just like, okay, these are like characters I don't know, and they're in situations that I am having like more trouble than usual picturing because I don't have like a good starting point almost for them. So it just took like a more brain power than I think it usually does, which is like I think a pretty neutral thing for me. I was like annoyed that I had to go back and reread stuff, but then I was like, it's my fault.
No, I totally get that though, because like you think about this story and I mean, realizing that Canto Bight came out before Last Jedi. And so there's really nothing that actually ties this story to Star Wars in a way, because we don't at that point have a relationship with Canto Bight. As you said, we don't know any of these characters. We don't particularly know any of their species except for the Wookiee bodyguard, who I believe is just referred to as the Wookiee. Or her friend, the Wookiee, Durla's friend. And Ubiala is human, but like
No, she's not.
I thought she was.
No.
She not?
No. I think do you remember like when they get to Canto Bight and they crash
Yes.
the ship and they're panning over it and there's that
There's
woman with a tall head?
Yeah.
I think that's her.
Oh, I thought that was a hat.
No, I think that's her. I think her head is like that. I think it's kind of
Oh, okay. Humanoid then.
Yeah.
Apologies. She's not human.
Yeah. That's why they kept talking about her veins throbbing.
Oh, I thought she just was like stroking out or something.
Oh my god.
But anyway, point being, there's very little to actually tie this to the Star Wars universe, which is part of what makes it so weird, right? Because like the Grimace twins, like do they come from another fucking galaxy? Like, nobody, even in this galaxy full of, like, completely different people, nobody knows what the fuck to make of them, and so it just makes it, like, interesting, and it, like, for me, at least, it really drew me into, like, I feel like I have no idea what's going on, and I want to know more.
Yeah. Deadass, I thought they may have been Kaminoan when we first got, like, their description. I was like, all right, they're super pale, and there are two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, no, I but then I, like, realized that they weren't, you know, I did a bit of background reading, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. Don't we, like, see them for a moment in The Last Jedi, or am I making that up?
They are in the background of the crowd shots in the casino.
Do they look like axolotls?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. I didn't even look this up. I was just getting axolotl.
Oh, is that who you were just getting axolotl vibes?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like, they're mudkips.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because instead of hair, they've got,
Or
like,
not mudkips,
kind of, like,
whoopers.
crests
Yeah.
going to, like, yeah.
They're whoopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes more sense than my thing, but, you know, I know less about Star Wars than you guys do.
I don't know anything. I just read a book.
Yeah. Oh, also,
I was like, who's bald and very white?
also shouts to,
right? Am I wrong?
I mean,
yes.
You're not wrong. If you are somebody who's very visual and it helps to visualize your characters, if you bought Canto Bite at Barnes & Noble, the hardcover version, they had the Barnes & Noble specific version had photos, which is great. However, since the photos exist, they're also on Wikipedia because duh. So you can search any of these characters. You can search Little Butthole Alien, Kedpin, and if you haven't seen pictures of him, you'll understand why we were referring to him as Little Butthole Alien. And then the Gramus sisters and Ubiala and, like, all these people. And then you can spot them in the background in, like, the opening montage of Canto Bite, of the Canto Bite sequence, which is really fun.
I haven't looked up any of these pictures. I just, like, have this like, small Rolodex in my head because I'm a crazy person.
I mean, that's fair. But yes, Ubiala is
good.
Ubiala is the dark-skinned woman on the yacht with, like, the dude who is saying Pablo Rain Kiri as a shout to the story group.
Gotcha. The wine dealer, I need to, like, look up because I'm like, I have a very, like, Real Monsters version of her in my head, even though she has, like, a humanoid body. And, like, I need to not.
Oh God, Real Monsters! What a throwback.
Sorry, I feel like I put this even more off track than it could have been, but
I mean, see, y'all have that reference point. I was just imagining, like, a cut open tennis ball talking to me, but with, like, googly eyes on it. So, you know what I mean?
but with, like, a humanoid body. I know. I really need to look it up because I'm like, this is hard to picture.
I know.
But I do love how much she just, like, shit talks humans. I'm like, drag us. We're useless.
All right. I'm going to steer us a little bit back towards
Fine.
anything.
You must.
But, so we were talking about the writing, to start with, allegedly. And I just wanted to say that I think what's going on here, at least for me, like, thinking of it like a writer, because I'm a fucking nerd, is that the writing to me felt like...
You're a writer.
Yeah, I know, but...
Okay.
I mean,
Kate's a writer.
Kind of. Sometimes.
Kate's a writer.
I'm trying to do grad school apps again right now. It sucks. So the writing to me felt like it was deliberately kind of this, like, flowery, expansive, like, imaginative, not kind of, like, windy language. It felt deliberately imprecise to me, which was cool because, of course, the story is called The Winding Dreams, and it's kind of like, you know, people can't nail down the taste of this quote-unquote magical wine. So, and that's kind of mirrored in the writing. And, you know, they're talking about, you know, people's hopes, people's dreams, like what they want, what this wine means to them in terms of, you know, getting out of, you know, whatever shit lives they have by selling it off or acquiring it or whatever the hell. So again, dreams, imprecise, weird shit happens, the writing style.
Yes. Well said, Kate.
Yeah. I've got other, like writing questions, but do we want to like come back to do we want to talk about other stuff and come back, or?
I'm good either way. I was just looking up what Durla looks like on.
Is she a tennis ball?
No, she also kind of looks like a butthole.
Oh, no. Oh no. Oh, Krista showed me that picture.
Later. I don't want to know right now.
Oh, that is not what I was thinking about at all.
Oy vey.
She doesn't adhere to human standards of beauty.
She sure doesn't.
That's right. I know. I love her 2 pairs of very expressive eyes.
They look like they're expressive. Anyway.
Kate, please keep talking about the writing. I'm making the decision. I want to know what else you have to say about it, because we're in that vein anyway. So.
All right. What up? So a few other things going on in this story in terms of like the writing itself and the structure and things like that. So it's a story that's a little that we've seen this a little bit in Star Wars before, and it's easy to do when you're talking about Star Wars, because Star Wars itself is kind of framed as a legendary story, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But again, we're having a story that's about stories, and it's about mirroring. Literally, first chapter of this novella, Durla is talking about, what legend are you going to leave? What legend are you shaping for yourself? Because legends are deliberately made, and they're not just things that happen, Who
lives, who dies, who tells her story.
Wow, fuck you. And then the other part of it with the mirroring is that, of course you have the Grimace twins, and it sounds like wherever they come from, everyone has a twin, and they really embrace that. That's really normal. They talk a lot about symmetry and balance, and that's where they feel at home, because that's the kind of society that they apparently grew up in. So of course we have mirroring there, but also we've got Durla's versus Ubial's motives, and the kind of people they are, the duplicity of Canto Bite. So, of course it's all shiny on top, and then you have people like Kala, the hotel worker, who, are stuck in the underbelly that's undergirding all that. There's a lot of like relationships that are sort of like equal and opposite, and then there are ones that are equal and the same. It's just a really cool effect. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really cool theme to like bring through the whole thing. And of course, I'm sure, well, y'all got the puns in the Grimace sisters' names, right?
What were their names again?
Rombi and Parallella.
Yes, I did get that.
And then Gramus.
And
if you know what a rhombus or a parallelogram are, they are made of parallel lines, of course. So they are literally mirroring both sides if you bisect the shape.
Yay.
But they are both. They are each both.
Yeah?
There is no rhombi and there is no parallella. That's what Kala got wrong in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's true.
Well, I would have fucking gotten it wrong too. Yeah. We'll talk more about my time working in casinos, but
yes.
I once accidentally mistook a guest's dog's name for his daughter's name.
Oh my god.
So that was bad.
That's the best.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you call the dog by the daughter's name or the daughter by the dog's name?
The dog by the daughter's name.
Okay, that could have been worse.
No, because I asked how the name was, and he said, "That's my daughter, not the dog."
That still could have been worse, because you could have talked to the daughter and been like, "And how are you today, Fluffy?"
The daughter wasn't there. It was more that I upset the man.
I hate that.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever. White men get upset easily.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then, but going back to talking about the stories, obviously, Durla says that lies are undergirding every single legend, and Canto Bite itself is a legend that's a lie. So, what do you think Mira Grant's trying to say about truth here? Like, actual true things. Like, truth as in, like, a Plato's ideal truth.
I don't think there is an ideal truth. I think it's all about perspective because, like, I don't know, to me, it's like, I love the scene where Durla first tastes the wine because she's like, it's amazing and I don't know how it works, but it's also very fucking clearly wine. Like, this is wine. It has been made by some sort of fruit, and like I taste the yeast, like fermentation in it, and like it's weird and it's magic, but I've had wine like this before.
Right.
And so she's like, so like clearly all their bullshit about being from the other side of hyperspace
Is bullshit.
And when they're like, and we're going back home and we're never gonna cross the veil a third time. And then at the end of the story, they're like, yeah, let's meet in 3 months.
Oh my god. We all know the type. But yeah, that between that and like I thought it was really interesting when Durla was having the wine for the first time and she's like, oh, this is what people are on about the color. I thought it was just like there was a red and there was a white and there was a rosé. But truth be told, it's all of those things at once and none of those things at once. Yeah.
Which like sounds really great. I want to try this wine.
I know, right?
I know, it sounds dank.
Okay, last writing thing, and then we can talk about crazy space shit and stop talking about writing nerd shit. So the story pretty clearly, I think, frames Ubial as the villain, because she's the one with like really nefarious ends, and she's literally willing to kill for those ends. But is she really the villain? Like, what do we think is at play here? Like, what, you know, I mean, Keeks, like you said, we're going to talk more about Casino Cities, because, oh god. But, you know, is the villain, like, the story that Canto Bight is selling? Is it, you know, what Canto Bight actually is? Is it greed? Is it other stuff?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I mean, we say that Ubial is, you know, willing to kill for her aims.
But that's because she's going to get dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially self-defense.
Right.
Like, it's not at the person who would target it at the person who would kill her, but it's essentially like them or me, and I'm going to choose me because I'm not a dummy.
Yeah, that was my sub point. I said she's trying not to die, TBH.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, as we know from, like, Star Wars in general, but I think especially Solo kind of brings out that, you know, survival at any cost sort of principle in the less savory areas of the galaxy, whether you get caught up in it or born into it or whatever.
Yeah, Ubial is very much a Kira style character.
Yeah. God, I like, there's a part of this story where they talk about how, like, nothing really matters unless you're like in it, something about drama, blah blah blah. I'm gonna butcher it, which I just did. But I mean, I think that it's funny that we like bring up Solo because it's like that seems more life or death compared to this, but it's like, as Chris said earlier, like such a matter of perspective. I'm like, there it's like trying to get money to have livelihood to get the fuck off of this shit planet and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, it's like the same thing though in Canto Bight, but it just doesn't feel like the same thing because we're talking about wine.
Right. I was about to say it's
or
like
something.
I know, it's like scrappy life or death versus fancy life or death.
Exactly.
So
No, totally. And I mean, I think like obviously the A plot is about the wine and the negotiation and, you know, what is this wine, essentially? Like, that's the mystery that we all want to solve, and it never, of course, gets solved. But the B plot is kind of what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of like an ethnographic study of Canto Bight, where it's just like, in the course of following this wine and following the Grandma sisters, we see, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, I'm skipping down in the outline, I'm sorry, but like, we see
I'm pretty done, so go for
essentially the slavery in Canto Bight with Kala and the fact that she is like sent to Ubiala's club to like be like, my mistresses are coming, and the underbelly of, you see the, you know, mafia underlyingness of Ubiala's patrons, and you see the rich people who are actually completely powerless once you strip away their privileges and lock them into a room and make it dark, they're actually terrified and powerless and have no actual skills.
That was
And
my favorite part.
yeah. And so it's just like it was again, getting back to kind of the weirdness of the writing, it was a really interesting way to get at like what could have easily been a Wikipedia article about the culture of Canto Bight.
Totally.
All right. Chris, do you want to talk about the Force?
What else? Ooh, the Force.
Oh, yeah, I want to, just because, like, you know, we hear from the Grandma sisters, they're from the other side of hyperspace, nobody knows where they're from, it's a new galaxy, etc., etc. And, yeah, A, believe what you will, but B, like, they're not painted as Force sensitive, but they are painted as, like, somewhat, like, they have some sort of, like, precognition. They, like, the wine is magical in some manner. Like, they are clearly their, you know, biology, sense of self, lifestyle is not what the rest of the galaxy would consider standard, I think it's fair to say. And
They have a Dumbledore-style Deluminator.
They have a Dumbledore-style Deluminator, for sure. And it's just interesting because, like, you see, you know, the Force isn't mentioned here in the slightest, but there's clearly some weird stuff going on. So, like, can they actually see the future? Are they just good at guessing? Like, is this the Force at work in some other mysterious way, and they are Force sensitive in a way we haven't seen other people be Force sensitive? Like, not in the Jedi sense, but just in a kind of being more in tune with the Force way, kind of like the people on Luell in Legends of Luke Skywalker. Like, I don't know. It was just, there's a whole bunch of questions that, like, came to mind that we, of course, didn't get answers to, but I found it fascinating.
I didn't see them as Force sensitive or precognitive necessarily, at least in terms of, you know, being able to wield the Force. I think it's probably because I was, like, again, picturing them as being axolotls. I never know if I'm saying that word right. Is that how you say it? Great.
So I've always said it.
All right. Well, picturing them as these, you know, as analogous to these, you know, creatures that we have on Earth. And, you know, I was kind of thinking of it as in, like, spidey senses. Like, you know, their animals can sense things, and especially underwater animals like axolotls, they can, like, sense electrical currents and things like that. I don't know. I just thought it was a probably pretty normal thing for them.
Yeah, like a heightened sense of things compared to humans.
Yeah.
But why couldn't that be the Force?
Because I explained it with science. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no. Great point. Yeah, I mean, I filed it more under the, who's the forgettable white man in Solo that we don't like?
Beckett.
Beckett, thank you. Fucking Christ. When he's like, don't trust anyone, people always, like, tell you who they are.
Yep.
Like,
Thanks, Woody Harrelson, from every movie Woody Harrelson's ever been in.
God damn it.
Yes, thank you. I literally just watched that movie and couldn't pull Beckett out of my ass, so that's why I called him the forgettable white man we don't like.
It's descriptive and true.
How dare you kill off Thandie Newton, you pieces of shit.
I know.
So fucking rude.
No.
But anyway, I mean, I, like, filed it more under that of, like, people. I don't think that any of the things that they did were, like, out of character for how they've acted in the past. Not that, you know, either one of, like, our, I just almost called her a decanter, which is what you put wine in. Sommelier, there we go. Our sommelier
Next
versus
time I go to a
our...
fancy restaurant, I'm asking them if they have a decanter.
Oh my
God, fucking stop. Listen, I'm very tired. At least I, like, picked the right genre of thing.
True.
But it's our sommelier versus our, like, club owner. Not that they have a ton of
Porky.
not that they have, like, obviously a lot of background with the sisters, but they know like the lore behind them in a lot of ways, right? Which is like how, at least, what's the Somalia's name? Durla? Something.
Durla.
Durla. Okay.
Yes.
Like that's how Durla knew enough to get them to Canto Bight for a meeting and like didn't fuck that up, because they sound like the kind of beings that like if you were like too presumptuous or like too forward or didn't know what the fuck you were doing and like weren't calculated in your moves, like they would not meet with you.
Totally. Totally. That's what I just want to point out here. It's not that the wine is magic. It's that it's nothing anyone else has ever had before. And if it's something novel to you, then of course you're going to think it's really fucking cool.
Right.
It's like when people first got like smartphones and they were like, what the fuck? And I was just like, whatever.
Well, and like Durla makes that point. She's like, here are, I mean, before we even learned about the magic wine, right? She's like,
yeah.
I sell back-ass planet wine with people who stomp the grapes with their weird feet for a lot of money to people who don't live on that world.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great connection.
Fucking true.
Yeah, I loved Durla being like, I literally sell like what is counted as piss on their native planets as like the finest wine, the finest exotic wine you've ever tasted. And if you have the reputation and you call something exotic, no one's going to call you on it.
Yep.
It's so good.
So true.
It's so good.
The finest bottled Carillion piss.
Yep. Like Durla is the equivalent of like bottling marketing in the liquor industry.
Totally.
Fuck yeah.
Totally.
Durla is the Stephen Joel Trachtenberg vodka analogy
Oh my god, stop.
of the Star Wars galaxy.
Don't say that. I have
Don't
to explain
bring
it.
it- Don't
Exactly
br-
one
don't-
person understands that analogy.
No, I have to explain it.
Okay. Long story short, we are all graduates of George Washington University. Go Colonials! The George Washington University. And the former president of the George Washington University did an interview with the Washington Post in which he confirmed, because he is this conceited of a shit, that the only reason that GW is one of the like top 5 most expensive schools in the country is because he intentionally drove up the price, because in his analogy, like vodka, it's all the same stuff inside and it just matters how you dress it up and how you market it.
Yep. He did put the hippo statue on campus though, and that's like one of my
I do
favorite
love the hippo.
things.
Did you see Keeks, do you follow Overhood at GW?
Not anymore.
Well, somebody put googly eyes on the hippo.
Oh, thank God.
I know.
I know. Long live the hippo. I love the Potomac water horse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. George Washington used to see them galloping across
Sure.
the lands.
Oh my god.
Hippos are horrifying. Look up some videos.
Hippos are the don't you dare. Hippos are the best.
Oh, I mean, they're
God.
amazing.
Oh,
They
okay.
just are, will fuck you up. And they can travel very quickly.
They're
for
adorable,
being
majestic
big,
death
big
machines.
boys. They are, exactly.
Oh my god.
Anyway, this has been inside baseball talk with
Yeah, God, that
with
got
us
way
fucks.
off topic.
It's fine. I had like a pointlet, but it's gone. Fuck me.
Okay, well, while you think of it, I just want to add on to the story that in addition to sticking googly eyes in the hippo, somebody left in its mouth, because its mouth is open, an offering of a Big Mac. So,
Hell yeah. Yeah, we used to give the hippo like cake all the time during
God.
finals.
yeah, we did.
Did you, Keeks, did you ever rub the hippo snout before finals?
I mean, like, I just liked to visit the hippo as often as possible. It
I mean,
wasn't
that's
like
fair.
it wasn't like a ritualistic thing, or like they told me I needed to do it, so I did it. It was more just like it was near the music department, so
That's fair.
I saw it every 15 minutes.
She actually sacrificed goats to it on the reg. So.
Well, because like the
Yeah.
thing that because GW has no actual rituals, and so the tour guides try to tell you that everybody rubs the hippo snout before
Everybody
finals, or
rubs
else
the
you fail.
snout.
That's nobody's ever done that.
Anyway, so
No,
Canto
you
Bight-
you get on the hippo when you're drunk.
That's
And someone
accurate.
takes a picture of you. That's our only ritual.
Accurate.
Yes, Canto Bight wine things. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask.
Uh-huh.
What did you guys think about like the fucking label switching? Because I don't know if I was just like missed the point of that, or just like.
Oh, that was purely
stupid.
trolling. It was purely trolling.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But can someone besides me talk more about that?
Sure. So the Grimace sisters are sticky, and they whap some labels off some bottles and switch the labels around on the bottles. And it is trolling because they're just obviously when the bar staff goes to pour, everything's gonna be wrong. But they also kind of want this reputation about Ubiala to spread that like her place isn't that great anymore, and like everybody, like the bartenders don't even know what they're doing. Like it's not up to snuff, and so kind of like fuck her up that way. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, and between the label switching and also the dropped bottle of wine, that is not actually wine. It's like toilet water and flower petals.
Mm-hmm. Mouthwash.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Toilet water.
Toilet water. Yep. That's that's how everybody else washes their mouths, right?
Correct.
I mean, toilet water is a dog's mouthwash, so it's
accurate.
All relative.
Nice.
So we don't deserve dogs. But yeah, and it like vaguely tied into the story at the very end when the Grimace sisters have sneakily left Durla with like the half-drunk bottle of the Wine of Dreams. Mm-hmm. And they like did that by like switching the label because they're all sneaky like. Mm-hmm. But no, it was essentially purely for trolling to fuck with Ubiala.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Also, I was like, of course there are at least 2 bottles of wine. They've made it very, very obscenely clear that they only do things in 2s.
I know. Like, duh.
I know. Nobody was paying attention.
Exactly. And they knew that.
And they knew that, and that's how they got away with it all.
Yeah. Durla was a little bit.
Yeah.
But she didn't know, like, the extent of their culture.
Exactly.
Yes.
Their trolling culture.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So, are we talking about how gross Canto Bite is now?
Yeah, let's wrap it up with that.
All right. Yay!
Canto Bite's Las Vegas, kind of.
Yeah, it's like Las Vegas, but like for even richer. Like it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like Dubai, having never been to Dubai.
It's like
but
the UAE. It's like skiing inside.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's like it's the 30 Rock country for that only rich people know about. Yeah. It's the Svenborgia of the the Star Wars galaxy. But because you have like, obviously this glitz and glamour that Finn is so enamored with, that Kedpin is so enamored with in the first story that we read, Rules of the Game. And that's like amazing and looks so perfect. And then you look closer.
Like Rose says.
You look closer and you have all these horrible people. Mm-hmm. And, looking at the hotel, Kala, right?
Kala. Yeah. I'm saying Kala.
I keep wanting to call her Tala for some reason. Kala is essentially a slave. Like the Grimace sisters are like, and we will take this concierge. And the guy's like, well, we don't technically have slavery here. And they're like, we will take this concierge.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they even use the word indentured, which we all know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, actually.
Yeah. And so...
this is indentured servitude, a.k.a. all of these people will die here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just, especially like the part with Kala that I found really like sad is just her talking about how like everybody who works in Canto Bite essentially is somebody who came to Canto Bite with money, wanting to make it big, and got cleaned out. And now they have no way to get home.
Yep. And which is honestly exactly how I feel about Casino Cities. Well, put a pin in that for 5 seconds while you finish at this point, and then come back.
Yeah. And then just the fact that nobody is actually safe in Canto Bite. Like even Ubiala, who's like one of the more famous people, is clearly not safe because she's one wrong move away from like being dead because she built her career and her reputation getting in debt to the wrong people. Because how do you know who the right people are when you first get there? Because it all looks so shiny.
Also, like, I feel like everyone in this story is like a step from death, including the sisters. Like, I feel like if there's like some kind of like underworld fuck shit that they get involved in accidentally, like no one would think twice about like offing them if they were not like super Canto Bite affiliated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about status.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the Empire. There's always somebody else pulling the actual strings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Totally.
marp, marp. So going back to the thing I put a very brief pin in. I actually hate that phrase so much. Goddamn white people corporate speak. So Chris and I have this discussion. I don't want to say frequently, but we had it more than once because Chris enjoys casinos. He enjoys like going and like doing a little gambling with the understanding, of course, that like you're gonna lose money. Like you just kind of
Yes, with the understanding that it is an experience that you're paying for.
yeah, it's an experience. Yep. It's a sunk cost. Like you know, he's one of those folks who will go in saying, "I will spend up to up to this much amount of money, and then I'm done."
Yeah.
And you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's entertainment, really. Whereas for me, you know, I think it's just kind of interesting, like considering Chris's background, which is suburban, upper middle class, like white upbringing. You know, that's how he views it. Whereas for me, you know, I see it more like, you know, we've just had that huge. Was it a Mega Millions jackpot? Whatever the fuck it was.
It was Mega Millions, but Powerball was also very high.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, you know, obviously the odds are stacked against you for like those like kinds of games of chance.
Yeah. For any non-American listeners, Mega Millions and Powerball are two national lotteries that we have here.
Yeah. Thank you.
I assume many people know that, but
yeah, just in case. So, you know, I just know how those odds are stacked against people, and then people will like sink so much money into it because they just are either addicted to it or they hold out hope or like both. I don't know. But you know, what it really winds up hurting are, you know, from my standpoint, are less well-off communities because, you know, I grew up in New York City, and so, you know, there were buses that would take, you know, little old Asian ladies over to Atlantic City, and they would stay and they would gamble for like 15 hours straight, and they'd hop back on the bus and go home. And they lost all their retirement savings that way because they were fucking addicted. You know, I think about people in the neighborhood where I grew up, which was mostly black and brown folks in the Bronx, in a not at all well-to-do area because of systemic fuck shit. But, you know, they bought lottery tickets by the dozens because they, you know, everything is so goddamn fucked in America with the way we treat people that, you know, their hope was that this was going to be a way out for them, you know, that they'd be able to take care of their families and pay off their house and all that other kind of shit. It's just, and it's horrifying to me.
I mean, it's interesting because, and I don't think any of the stories in Canto Bight tackle it from this angle, but I would love to see. I feel like there's an opportunity to think about this as like the dark side of hope, because we have, particularly in The Last Jedi, but, you know, all through Star Wars, hope is the light side. Hope is the spark that keeps burning. Like, as, you know, we hear very bluntly in The Last Jedi, you know, keeping the spark alive, the spark that will light the fire. But the spark of hope is what kills you in casinos and what kills you in atmospheres like this, because you always hope that just one more hand or one more roll or whatever game you're playing, and it'll all turn around, and it almost never does. And that is what takes all your livelihood away.
Yep. And I mean, Keeks, as you said, you grew up basically right next to Atlantic City, so.
Yeah, I did, and I worked there for a number of years. I was fortunate enough to never work in the casino proper. I always either worked in parking or in valet, which is a subset of parking, but that was by design. I didn't want to work in food service or bartending or dealing or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I had seen kind of like what that kind of false promise did to like the community I grew up in, because obviously when you're a dealer at a casino or you work at anywhere that is like largely you know, depends on the whims of how well the economy is doing, when there's an economic downturn, like you see people's shit get fucked up. You know, it's gambling that industry is already like very fickle.
Yeah.
But when you see your whole community kind of like built around that, you can kind of see one, like what folks who become addicted to gambling, like what they lose and what happens to them. And same with like the folks who try to build their future around like working as like the line workers, basically, you know,
Yeah.
in the pit of casinos, blah blah blah. Yeah, and it's just like, it's that all said, like it can be the worst economic fuck shit, but if you hear a snowstorm is coming, the casino will pay for its workers, like enough workers to stay there during the snowstorm to keep the casino open.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's this very like, you know, life-giving and life-sucking piece of the community I grew up in. So it's yeah, I know that's like really bleak.
I
but
mean,
it's super. That's
casinos
like
are bleak.
Casinos are bleak as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like not a gambler because I just have like seen too much of that. I totally get the appeal of it. Like I waste my money on other shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like high and mighty.
yeah. Definitely.
But you know, it's like the corner turns when, you know, you look at somebody and you're like, oh, they don't see this as entertainment at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Totally.
So yeah, I mean, it's
Totally.
just, I am so glad to not be there doing that with those. Nothing against the people that I worked with. People I worked with were wonderful human beings. Just like so glad to not be at the whims of
Right.
just like casino fuckboys anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. To like have that option.
Yeah, I don't want people who are like, I don't want to be profiting off of people who have gambling addictions.
Sure.
Basically.
Sure. Yeah.
It feels very bad.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, if you have, you know, even the slightest idea,
Sure.
what percentage of your community would you say, you know, had a livelihood attached to casinos?
It's hard to put an exact number on it.
Sure.
Because, for example, like my uncle was not in the casino business at all, but he did custom glass work, and he was doing custom glass work basically for all the casinos. Like that's what you know. It seeps its way in to a lot of the community, even if it's not you know, even if folks aren't directly employed by them. But yeah, I mean, I've always known, I don't have like a good percentage, but I've a lot of kids I grew up with, like both of their parents were either dealers or like worked in, you know, because they're huge. They're, you know, you have to do the hotel side of it, the food and beverage side of it, blah blah blah. So there's a ton of different jobs. It's like where in other towns, like folks would be working in restaurants or something like that, they're working at casinos. So
Got it.
it's just kind of hard to, and like it's a very fluid thing, right? It's like, okay, people go from working in a casino restaurant to go working in another restaurant, but then they build up their resume and they go and work at a more prestigious casino restaurant, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
sounds like it's super enmeshed, kind of.
It's enmeshed, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's not always your favorite thing to talk about because
you know, I'm always willing to talk about it. It's just like, it's a very, you know, it's very much like a different kind of like coal, for like lack of a better, you know,
I mean,
to talk about. It's like it's not, it's going extinct in some ways, but in other ways it'll always be there as long as there are people to do it, even though it's bad.
Yeah.
Or something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was thinking exactly that, honestly. You know, it's I was thinking about, you know, like steel towns or, you know, like car manufacturing cities and things like that. Like, it sounds like, again, very enmeshed industry and actual lived community.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
one of the, I always think about this and it's just like such a fucking weird thing. So the hospital that my parents met at has like an Atlantic City branch and then has like a branch that's like kind of out closer to where I grew up, kind of in the sticks a bit. Probably like 35 minutes apart by car. But the casino the hospital in the city had a contract with the casino to park in their parking lot. Like, it's just like,
Wow.
like that is how much of like the real estate is like, well, the hospital doesn't have its own parking. So like the hospital workers will be able to park in this specific casino that's very close to the hospital.
Wow.
So, fuck.
Wow.
So we would like always borrow my friend's mom's like work badge anytime we were like going into Atlantic City. So we could fucking park in the goddamn hospital/casino parking lot. I'm like, God,
Oh my
God,
what the
that's amazing.
fuck?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I had another question and I totally forgot about it. Oh, just out of curiosity, like,
Yeah.
how much is this, like, you know, when you grow up in a place and like everything like seems quote unquote normal, and then you leave and you're like, oh, that was really weird about my childhood. Like, how much of it is this stuff that like the stuff you realized in the moment? Obviously, you were younger, and how much of this is stuff that you kind of like when you moved away, you were just like, oh, that's kind of fucked up.
Oh yeah. I mean, like most of it is after the fact. Just because like so much of the community was involved in some way in the industry. And it's like, all things considered, it's not a bad way to make a living where I'm from. Sure. Like so many folks are doing it because it's like there's more opportunity there than most other industries.
Oh God, yeah.
Where I grew up, there really isn't anything, right? It's like we have tourism. That's what we have.
Right.
It's funny, like reading stuff about Canto Bight, because I'm like, oh, like Atlantic City's like shitty. So it's like we have all these like not only is it like these characters who are very uppity and think very highly of themselves, like very much resonate with me, but at the same time I'm like, except for Atlantic City is like shitty. So they think very highly of themselves, but Atlantic City is shitty. Just like saying it over and over again, right? It's
yeah,
like,
right,
God,
right, yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, like again, I grew up obviously not in the community like you did, but close enough. I've been there several times. So.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that about like the casino buses and stuff like that. I mean, you have the picture of what it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, if anybody has more questions about this, I don't know. I'll probably do some more freestyling about it on the wrap up. But I know it's a really weird thing, and I know it's not something a ton of people have like perspective on. So I will offer whatever I have.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fucking weird thing that. Not only am I like from a tourism driven town, but it's like not a good one. It's like I'm from like fucking Branson, Missouri, only it's like not nice. And that's like Branson, Missouri.
I mean, also interesting, of course, that like, our frame of reference is Atlantic City, whereas, Chris grew up on the West Coast, and I feel like your frame of reference, Chris, for this sort of thing is Vegas, which is, of course, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different, but it is different. It's a much larger scale. I've been to Atlantic City for a very short period of time. At GW, our like senior trip was to Atlantic City for a day. I don't know if you did that, Kristen.
Senior trips?
They existed. Yes.
Oh.
I went.
Mine was probably also to Atlantic City. I was probably like, no. I probably blacked it out.
You probably did, because you were like, why would I
probably
live there?
But so I've seen Atlantic City. I've been there once, and I've been to Vegas twice now.
Have you ever been to Reno?
When I was very young.
Okay.
And so not well enough to remember. But it's very different in the scale and the grandiosity of it. Vegas is unparalleled in America, at least. Yep. But it's similar because I've been to Vegas. I went once in 2010 2011, 2012, and then I went once in 2016, and we went to Atlantic City in 2013, and those, 2011, 2012, 2013 was still very much feeling the effects of the recession, right?
Yep.
And so Vegas, there was a lot of stuff that was under construction that was not still supposed to be under construction, and it was very evident that developers had run out of money. And
Wow.
there was a lot of stuff where it was like, these casinos that are supposed to be so fancy are very dilapidated right now.
Yep.
And
Sure.
and Atlantic City, again, I don't know as much about the local economy, so Keeks, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but my understanding is around 2012, 2013, that was when the Trump Taj Mahal closed. Shouts to America. But that was when Atlantic City, like, kind of, like, I remember there were articles about how, like, Atlantic City is dying.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and so, like, it's different on the scale, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously if you haven't been there. Las Vegas has, for the most part, recovered. They've kind of retooled what their marketing strategy is. They do bill it more as, like, an experience in a playground now, as opposed to a get-rich-quick city.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think their whole thing is like more than gambling.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, they have retooled, and when I went in 2016, it was much snazzier and felt a lot less sad, frankly.
Yeah.
But it's the same. It is the same industry.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Atlantic City is like, get rich quick. Also, we have the beach.
Yes.
Ocean.
For sure. Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not in a desert. That's what we have going for us.
Woo!
3 months out of the year. Fucking Christ.
Right.
Oh man.
Oh, on that uplifting note, does anybody else have anything else we want to talk about? I mean, we went a little long, but I think all of this stuff is like worth discussing.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Especially
Oh, yeah.
around Canto Bite.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Keeks.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
If
Special guest Keeks.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, special co-host Keeks. Yeah, if anybody has, like I said, if you have curiosities, even if they're not directly Star Wars related, I'll do my best to bullshit them into Star Wars related questions. And we
Love
can
it.
talk about them on the wrap up. So, but yeah,
Yeah, so
cool.
send them our way.
yeah, Chris, do you want to take us out?
I sure do. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Book Wars Pod. Next week, we are continuing on with Canto Bite. We're reading Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing by Ray Carson. And in the meantime, while you read along with us, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at bookwarspod, bookwarspod@gmail.com to email us. And please do rate, review, and subscribe to us and the Tashi Station Radio mega feed. It's the best way for people to discover the show and for us to grow our audience. And when you leave reviews, not just ratings, but actual reviews, you are entered to win all sorts of cool prizes. Also, if you have the means and are so inclined, donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon or give to us on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Those two things really do help us cover our hosting and production costs and help us earn some money toward creating some swag for Star Wars Celebration next April. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Book Wars Pod. For Kate and Kristen, I'm Chris, and we will talk to you again next week. Quick, somebody say something funny. I don't think we have an end tag.